Howdy. And quick note, you may notice that I sound, how do I put it? Unbelievably extremely horrible. That's just because I'm getting over a sickness and I can't put off recording a video any longer so I can have that sexy southern drawl that the new people like so much. You're just gonna have to deal with hardcore congestion, okay? I'm sorry. Anyway, howdy. And this title is gonna make YouTube give me a dirty look. And at first glance, make me seem like a bigot. But, your boy made a promise that everything in this buggy, annoying NPC-filled game would be ranked before Elder Scrolls 6 comes out. I got plenty of time, apparently. Why, Bethesda? Why would you announce this so early? And racial abilities are in the game, so I'm kind of obligated to rank them. So we are doing exactly that. You voted for this after all, so you can stop staring at me. Every race in Skyrim has a unique passive and a unique ability exclusive to them. So we are going to rank these abilities from worst to best. But of course, if you've been to my channel before, you know that we have to have some notes before we actually get into the ranking. First off, we are bunching the passive and the ability into one ranking. So one race might have an amazing active ability, but a garbage passive. So they would be in the middle of the ranking for that exact reason. And also, these rankings are based on a very complicated chart, known as whatever I felt like doing. This is my video after all. You're the one choosing to watch it, so whose fault is your frustration really? And I mean, it's inevitable that I get comments saying how this video is completely wrong and I'm stupid, which isn't wrong, but it still kind of hurts. Another note, because this is eggshells I'm walking on, I'm only considering their racial abilities and passives, not their starting skills and stuff like that. This is purely the bonus abilities that they get. And lastly, these are my opinion. What I consider good or fun, you might consider worse than picking a high elf and going two-handed, you absolute fool. Just watch this video as a funny haha kind of video. If you disagree, that's fine. I'll only cry about it a little bit. And none of these are downright bad. So the lowest on the list isn't necessarily bad, just not interesting or effective as the rest. And because of this, we're all going to disagree, alright? We're going to disagree on what's good and what's bad. Let's just have fun with it. Let's go. Bretons actually have a hidden unique passive. It makes anyone who sees them instantly want to throw them into a locker and spit in their shoes. I'm sorry. Anyways, Bretons, their passive allows them to resist 25% of magic damage. This actually goes along with their active ability, which allows them to absorb 50% of magicka for 60 seconds. It adds it to their pool of magicka. Yeah, the reason I have them at the worst is because any other race in the game can accomplish these stats through a statue or just a few pieces of armor that is really easy to get. The max resistance is set to 80, so you will reach that extremely easily with the Bretons, and you can actually reach that extremely easily with any race. The extra magicka is great, don't get me wrong, but another racial way farther on this list can accomplish the exact same effect in a much easier way. I'm sorry, Breton fans. Like I said, none of these are bad. Imperials are a weird one. Their active is nothing special. It simply calms down nearby humanoids for 60 seconds, saving your butt when you're fighting a bunch of bandits or similar battles. But again, this is only humanoids, so it's very limited use when you're fighting like in a mixed battle. But there's also tons of other ways to get this exact same effect in the game, so meh. Their passive, however, is something pretty special. They find gold much easier and more than any other race in the game. Now, if that isn't something that's just extremely handy to have all the time, but gold in Skyrim is pretty easy to get if you know what you're doing, especially considering that every Dragonborn digs through potato sacks like it's going to contain Garglak the Serpent Slayer, or some mythical sword like that. No, it's just gonna have potatoes. What elves? Other than trying to make love to the nearest tree, these guys can make any animal an ally for 60 seconds, which you can imagine is only useful in very specific situations. And after 60 seconds, your new bear friend is going to try to eat face. Their passive allows them to resist 50% of poison and disease, which is pretty dang good. It literally combines two different passives that other races have, so it's just a better version of those other two races. This makes them amazing werewolves and vampires due to these resistances. And just remember, again, none of the races are bad. So just because this one's low doesn't mean it's bad. Ah yes, I'm ready to be ripped to shreds in the comments. I know, we all love the cat boys, but remember, we aren't including base stats, just the unique abilities and passives. Their ability allows them to see in the dark for 60 seconds. It can be used an unlimited amount of times instead of once daily like every other race. But an unlimited amount of shoestrings is still shoestrings. The ability isn't good. Plain and simple. Just go to the options and increase your brightness. You get the exact same results. Look at the screen. I mean, it's good for role playing, I guess. But there's also literally a billion different ways to gain visibility in the darkness in Skyrim. But their passive gives them a bunch of bonus points because it's extremely unique and extremely fun. It gives them an insane amount of unarmed damage, making them really the only viable race to have a pure unarmed build. You can get a bunch of equipment for it. They're great for unarmed builds. I think they're the only way to go for this build. It also comes with unique animations, which is just fun. Ah yes, our standard Nord friend. The generic race we all know and love. That's a weird sentence coming if it's taken out of context. Their active ability will make enemies around them run in fear for 30 seconds. This is great for survival, but I hate chasing them down.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
The reason this ability is good is that when you compare it to the Imperials, which only affects humanoids, this one affects every type of enemy. However, their passive is 50% resistance to frost, which might not seem very good at first glance, but then you remember that frost damage is the most common damage in the entire game other than physical, making this a massive boost to protection. Their survivability is insane for a lot of, magic-based battles because they have such resistance to frost. Dark Elves, and the fact that this is not number one really hurts my soul because this is my favorite to play. But yeah, the Dark Elves has 50% resistance to fire, which makes them amazing vampires. And fire resistance is also extremely common, not as common as frost, but it's extremely a very common ailment. And their active ability burns nearby opponents for 8 fire damage a second for 60 seconds. This might not seem like a lot, but this adds up quick. This can completely barbecue a group of enemies, and this is extremely effective if you're running a melee build, which is what you're going to be running with Dark Elves anyway. And especially in dungeons that are all packed together very close to you, it just absolutely melts them. Red Guards don't have anything super unique or fun, it's just extremely effective. 50% resistance to poison is good, it does the job, it isn't vital. However, their active ability regenerates stamina 10 times faster for 60 seconds. So power attack to your heart's content or sprint longer than Forrest Gump. With their superior stamina, these guys are always amazing dual wielders and can just iron that home, especially with these new abilities.
Orc strong. Orc hit things harder. You call that hit? Orc show you hit. I shouldn't be doing that voice with my nose.
Yeah, orcs do not have a passive, which seems really bad. They're the only race in the entire game that do not have a passive. But you can just take a quick little peek-see at their active. They take half damage and do double damage for 60 seconds. Melee only. This, without a doubt, makes them the absolute best tank in the entire game. Who needs resistance when you resist everything? And who needs fire damage when you are the damage? Simply put, very good. Argonians are the only class in the entire game that have 2 unique passives other than the nerds. They have a 50% resistance to disease, which is again okay, it's not great, not horrible, but they get the ability to breathe underwater, making them insane for ingredients gathering, making them probably the best alchemists in the entire game. But their active is an amazing one on top of all of that. Recover health 10 times faster for 60 seconds. This is very self-explanatory. More health means me no die. Is good. Now, High Elves may have a face that's just asking for a fist to impale it, but in terms of their racial abilities, they are the best in the entire game. Yeah, these are super hyper-focused on a mage build. That makes them so good. You get an extra 50 points of magicka. Now, that basically means 5 free levels put into magicka, which is insane enough compared to simply 50% resistance to poison, but their active regenerates mana faster for 60 seconds as well. This is just bonkers, especially compared to the Breton or the Wood Elves, where the Breton has to take damage to get his magicka back. This is just free magicka for 60 seconds. I just hate their faces so much. You think you're better than me? And that's the ranking. Another ranking is around the corner, and I'm coming at it with a smile until we eventually reach ingredients. That's thanks guys, see ya.